News. I'm your news anchor, Rose Tyler. Today we are talking about the riots of Ferguson, Missouri, which has affected many other states than simply Missouri. However, we will talk about that later. For now, we will explain how this all started and what's going on. This is the autopsy of Michael Brown, who was shot by Officer Darrell Wilson. Michael Brown was struck at least 6 times, however, he was not shot in the back. No one knows if this is because he was charging at Wilson or if he was simply standing with his hands raised in surrender. But this has caused most of the riots in Ferguson. Much rioting happened after Darrell Wilson was not taken to court. People burned buildings and shops to the ground. Many people got vandalized, including regular homes and regular cars, and many shops were broken into and looted. Police had to chase people away with tear gas and smoke bombs to get them to stop rioting. Michael Brown was an 18-year-old man who was shot and killed by Officer Darrell Wilson. No one knows if Brown was raising his hands in surrender or charging at Wilson, but either way, there wasn't enough evidence against Darrell Wilson to take him to court any longer. Therefore, he was set free. However, many people in Ferguson and across the country did not like it. There have been protests in places such as Delwood, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, Oakland, California, New York, Seattle, and more.
An unarmed black teenager named Michael Brown was shot and killed on the streets of Ferguson, Missouri by a white police officer.
He was 18 years old, getting ready to start college. We don't know all the details.
Just because my son is a 6'4" black male does not mean he fit the profile for anything other than just walking down the street.
The city of Ferguson, Missouri is outraged.
We are tired of the police killing our children.
Police officers will be accountable and responsible. We gonna act up on nothing because they acting up on us. It's unfair. I think they are fraternity. I think they are brotherhood, and I think it's unfair.
Right now, they just came up with another master plan in their brain. Give them a curfew and tell them when to get out of there. So now we got a reason to start shooting them if they don't.
We're tired, and we're human.
Ferguson has asking for assistance with crowd control and for a Delwood officer response. Can I send one?
We shouldn't fall under the influence of a small group of people, many of them not from Ferguson, who are looting and raising tensions and undermining justice there.
There's at least one story of protesters actually protecting a business, and we've heard a number of stories like this.
We don't loot, bro. We don't steal.
We want justice, that's all.
For Mike Brown, bro. For Mike Brown.
What I want justice. I want justice.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
We don't have nothing to do with the police. They doing this because they want to smoke with us. They don't want our voice be heard.
It appears unlikely federal prosecutors will file charges against the white Ferguson, Missouri police officer who killed an unarmed black teen.
Ferguson, Missouri erupts in a wave of violence as a grand jury reaches a decision about the police officer who shot Michael Brown.
They've been preparing for 4 or 5 months for war. They got 2 tanks, and it was police pumping their guns at us. That means they ready for war.
Stop trying to turn over the police vehicle immediately.
Most demonstrations were peaceful. In Los Angeles, protesters marched through the streets, some with their children.
Voices were heard about if there weren't an indictment, how they would react, how they would lash out.
There are Americans who are deeply disappointed, even angry. But I join Michael's parents in asking anyone who protests this decision to do so peacefully.
As you can tell, the violent protests of Ferguson have destroyed many businesses and homes. The president has requested restrictions on military equipment used by police. And there are some police departments who have considered getting cams that police can wear. It shows exactly what the police do and exactly what the people the police encounter do. However, police do not like change, and The cameras cost about $950 each, not including storage for the films. Part of this camera rests by your eye to see everything you see. The other part goes in a pocket or a holster to record everything you hear and what you say. Also, Darren Wilson quit his job as a police officer. He said, "It was my hope to continue in police work, but the safety of other police officers in the community are of paramount importance to me. It is my hope that the resignation will allow the community to heal." One of the most recent events that has taken place is one of the grand juror Doe, suing to remove the gag order placed on him and the other members of the jury. A gag order means that you are sworn to secrecy and cannot talk about the case or any decisions you made. However, the prosecutor presented his evidence in a very unusual way. Instead of telling the jury how bad of a man Darren Wilson is, he presented his evidence and told them to make the best decision they could. Since this is so unusual, Grand Juror Doe decided that he should have freedom of speech and a right to talk about this. Hello, and today we're here with Olivia Augustine. So, you're a local, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about police possibly getting body cameras?
I think it's kind of a bad way to address the situation, but it's a good idea.
Can you tell us why you think it's a good idea?
It's a bad way to address the situation because it could make some people feel uncomfortable and it could cause a lack of trust for police, but it's a good idea because, you know, like in future cases, it could help solve them, like with evidence.
Okay. So, would you have taken Darren Wilson to court, and why would you, if you would?
I think I would have, just because, you know, it was kind of an extreme move to take for shoplifting. Like, to shoot a gun for shoplifting is kind of extreme.
Okay. So, last question. Would you have protested with the protesters? If so, how would you have protested?
Peacefully.
Can you...
Less bombs. And no burning houses down.
Good.
But loudly.
Okay, thank you. Nice having you here. Hello, and we're back again with Amy Augustine. Hello, can I ask you some questions?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think about police having body cameras?
I think body cameras are a good idea. I think it protects not only the police officer, but the person that they're talking to, because there's always a lot of he said, she said, and body cameras would alleviate a lot of questions. So I think they're a good idea.
Okay, next question. Would you have taken Darren Wilson to court or to trial, and why would you, or why not?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. I would not have taken him to court, but because I have watched so many news articles and heard so many people talking, and I've heard both sides of the story so many times that I just don't know who to believe or who not to believe. So I'd have to assume, since we're in America, that he is innocent until proven guilty, and I just don't know if there was enough information out there to prove he was guilty. So I would say my answer is no, with a really big question mark.
And then, how would you protest, or would you protest, and if you did?
Would I protest?
How would you protest if you chose to?
Well, I don't think I would protest, because lots of angry people stress me out. So, and I think once you get in that big group of people and then everybody's mad, then they start getting even more mad, and then the madness just gets out of hand, and that would freak me out. So I would probably try to avoid that. But if I did find something I wanted to protest about, it would probably be in the form of I'll sign this petition, or I'll do something that doesn't involve a lot of crowds and anger.
Okay, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Okay. So today we're here with Ken Augustine.
Hello.
Can I ask you a few questions?
You can ask me a few questions, absolutely.
Okay, what do you think about police having body cameras?
I think police having body cameras is a very positive step. It's a positive thing for police officers to have those cameras. What that allows is the public to see whether the police officers are acting appropriately as they have interactions with citizens. It allows us to see whether, if they're making arrests, if that arrest is the right thing, if they have to use any kind of force, whether that force is warranted.
Okay. So would you have taken Darren Wilson to court? And if so, why would you have taken him to court?
Yes, absolutely. Taking Darrell Wilson to court was the right thing, because Darrell Wilson's actions with Michael Brown, that took a human life. So in my view, it's important for due process to take place. Whether Darrell Wilson is innocent or guilty, it's important for that process to happen so that it's decided amongst his peers whether he's guilty of a crime or whether he's innocent.
Okay. Last question. Would you have protested? And if you would have, how would you have protested?
That's a very difficult question. So I think that the important thing to think about if you're considering protests is what exactly you're hoping to get out of a protest. So if that protest in this case, or in any case, was to bring light to a larger situation or a larger point, I think that's extremely important. However, you don't want the actions of the protest to overshadow what the actual protest is about. So I think it's very important and probably a good thing to bring to light perhaps some discrimination, or some sort of something that's going on in the community that is not correct. However, when that descends into some violence or something that's not lawful, then it actually makes the protest a very negative thing. So for me, I think that means that I likely would not have protested, certainly not in the fashion that the protests were happening in this case.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming.
It was a pleasure.